beyond textbooks, beyond classrooms. This was the vision of Professor Dr. N.R. Madhav Menon, the father of modern legal education, to shape practice-ready lawyers through Project Complete Lawyer and guided by Unwritten Conundrum, cracking an implicit code. That vision comes alive at Government Law College, Ernakulam. This is not just legal education. This is preparation for the bar.
Respected Honorable Mr. Justice Dr. A.K. Jayashankaran Nambiar sir, respected Principal Dr. Mini Paul ma'am, distinguished guests on and off the dais, esteemed faculty members, dear students and all invitees. It's my proud privilege to welcome you all to the inaugural session of the certificate course on Navigating the High Court, a clinical course in practice and procedure, an initiative of the Legal Aid Clinic, Government Law College, Ernakulam, in collaboration with the Project Complete Lawyer Foundation. This clinical course has been thoughtfully designed to bridge the gap between theoretical legal education and practical court practice with a special focus on procedures, conventions and professional responsibilities involved in navigating the High Court of Kerala. To formally commence today's proceedings, I now invite Dr. Joby Bhaskar ma'am, Assistant Professor, Government Law College, Ernakulam and Faculty Coordinator of the Legal Aid Clinic to deliver the welcome address.
Respected Dr. Honorable Justice Dr. A.K. Jayashankaran Nambiar sir, Dr. Mini Paul, Advocate Johnson Gomez, Ms. Naomi Rohan, Mr. Abhinav Ani, my dear colleagues and others distinguished guests, my students, a very warm good morning to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this inaugural session of the certificate course on Navigating the High Court, a clinical course on practice and procedure, an initiative organized by the Legal Aid Clinic of Government Law College, Ernakulam, in association with Project Complete Lawyer Foundation. We are truly honored to begin this journey today at the gracious presence of the distinguished guest and other academic guest and with academic excellence, professional integrity and deep commitment to legal education. We extend a warm and respectful welcome to Honorable Justice Dr. A.K. Jayashankaran Nambiar, who had kindly consented to inaugurate this program. Sir, your scholarly insights and judicial wisdoms have always inspired students and practitioners alike, and your presence today add immense value to the initiative. I welcome you to this session, sir. I would like to welcome Dr. Mini Paul, our principal, who was always there to any initiative we have taken, we organize. We welcome you to our session, ma'am. A very special welcome to Advocate Johnson Gomez, President of Project Complete Lawyer Foundation. Your vision to bridge the gap between the academic learning and courtroom practice has paved the way to this initiative. We eagerly look forward to your keynote address, which will surely provide our students with valuable perspectives on the professional world of legal practice. I welcome you to this gathering, sir. We are also delighted to have Ms. Naomi Rohan and Mr. Abhinav Ani, students from the School of Law, VIT Chennai, with us today to share their experience and High Court experience, and their reflection will help our participants better appreciate how practical training shapes professional growth and confidence in court procedures. I welcome you both. I also welcome our student Shani Anian to this function, and I also welcome all the esteemed faculties, all the audience over here, and my dear students to this function. And this course is designed not just as an academic program but as an immersive clinical experience, one that aims to equip young lawyers with the skills, etiquette, and procedural understanding essential for effective practice before the High Court. Through interactive actions, mentorship, and experimental learning, we hope to give our students the spirit of advocacy and service that defines the legal profession. On behalf of Legal Aid Clinic and Government Law College, Ernakulam, I extend heartfelt thanks to all our collaborators, participants, and faculty members for making this program possible. I wish the course the very best. Once again, I welcome you all to this function. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm and thoughtful words of welcome. Next, I'm delighted to invite our principal, Dr. Mini Paul, ma'am, to deliver the presidential address.
Good morning to one and all. Respected Justice Dr. A.K. Jayashankaran Nambiar, Honorable Judge of High Court of Kerala, Advocate Johnson Gomez, President PCL Foundation, Naomi Rohan and Abhinav Anil, School of Law, VIT Chennai, faculty members, and dear students. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the inaugural session of the certificate course, Navigating the High Court, a clinical course on practice and procedure, organized by the Legal Aid Clinic of Government Law College, Ernakulam, and in association with the PCL Foundation. We are indeed deeply honored by the gracious presence of Justice Dr. A.K. Jayashankaran Nambiar, whose contribution as a judge and as a scholar has been a source of guidance and inspiration for students, lawyers, and academics alike. I place on record our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for sparing your valuable time from a demanding judicial schedule to be with us. I would also like to acknowledge the PCL Foundation for partnering with us in this initiative. Their support and engagement with practical legal training have helped make this program possible. This course is based on a simple but important idea that learning law is not complete until one understands how it is actually practiced. Many students step into courts for the first time with excellent theoretical knowledge but little clarity about procedure, court practice, or professional expectations. The High Court in particular can seem overwhelming at first. This program is meant to make the journey a little clearer and more confident. Programs like this strengthen our academic culture and equip our students to enter the legal profession with confidence and competence. I sincerely appreciate the efforts of faculty members, the Legal Aid Clinic, PCL Foundation, and also Ms. Naomi Rohan and Mr. Abhinav Anil, who have come here to share their experiences at the High Court. I am confident that today's program will be enriching and beneficial to all the participants. I urge our students to make the best use of this opportunity. With these words, I wish the program every success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words and your continuous support and guidance. I now invite Advocate Johnson Gomez, sir, President, Project Complete Lawyer Foundation, to deliver the keynote address.
Honorable Justice A.K. Nambiar, Jayashankaran Nambiar, sir, respected Principal, Government Law College, faculties of Government Law College, my young co-authors, Abhinav and Naomi, their family members, and my dear student friends. We are coming to the Law College for the second time. Last year we came with another course that was on contract drafting, and that also was a clinical program. Project Complete Lawyer is having a memorandum of association with the Government Law College to assist them in developing their legal aid clinic, because Project Complete Lawyer focuses mainly on the legal aid clinic. Essentially, you know that in the medical profession, for every medical college there will be a hospital. Essentially, that is the scheme that we require. We also have a legal aid clinic, I believe, and there is a report of the Supreme Court regarding the functioning of legal aid clinics in India, and the report is indicating a very pathetic scene regarding its functioning. Project Complete Lawyer basically believes that the study of law, to become a legal practitioner, the heart and soul of that study is in the legal aid centers. And the mandate of the Bar Council in designing the courses is to prepare students for the practice of law. And the term practice of law is defined in their rules. Unfortunately, they do everything except preparing students for this particular practice of law. They have a very generic course, and now they have entered into a double degree program where the Bar Council would prescribe the legal subjects and the university would prescribe the non-legal subjects. And at the end of the day, the course would appear like a mixture and not a compound. In chemistry, we have a difference between a mixture and a compound. We are looking for a compound where by providing appropriate temperature and pressure, a compound is produced. What is the compound? A legal practitioner capable of practice in law is the compound. Now, this idea of preparing practice-ready lawyers was never originated in me as a lawyer, because I was a struggling lawyer for the last 33 years. And this idea came to us from Professor Dr. Madhav Menon, with whom I had the opportunity of traveling for 1,218 days. During this journey, he was always talking about one thing: prepare students in the law college and make them practice ready. How do you make them practice ready is the question. He had an answer, and that answer was that don't teach them law in the law college. And in the law college, you need to teach them to find the law. And once they find the law, you need to prepare them to interpret the law. And how do you do this? You need to have multiple factual scenarios. These multiple factual scenarios would come from your legal aid centers. People have lots of problems, and these problems will have to be addressed by these students by finding the law and trying to interpret the law. While trying to find the law and interpret the law, they need to understand which is the legal forum before which they should approach for getting redressal of the grievances of the persons concerned. So this is the basic design which we achieved from interactions with Professor Menon. He also wanted students to be trained in skills, multiple skills. We often find lawyers jumping into conclusion before hearing the problem, as if he knows better than the person who is coming and sitting before him. So he needs to have a skill for client counseling. What is the basic requirement? The basic requirement is to have the patience to hear somebody, and the client itself, after narrating his story, will give you multiple options to work on which. So the legal aid center is not a place where we just give them advice and leave them. Legal aid centers needs to be developed in such a manner that we need to have a menu prepared. We find that the central government, I can suggest one example to give you how such menus needs to be prepared. Before going to that, there is two more components for preparing practice-ready lawyers. In the law college, you don't learn the law, find the law, interpret the law. And once you come out, you need to be trained in every institution before which you are going to appear. Once we come to the High Court of Kerala, if anybody has an iPhone, ask Siri, do you know anything about the High Court of Kerala? The Siri will automatically say, High Court of Kerala is the highest court of Kerala, as well as Lakshadweep, predominantly it will issue writs. It will also deal with some civil matters and criminal matters, and there are other miscellaneous matters, and it will stop. And then it will ask, do you want to know more about it? Then he will give you, the Siri will give you more information. So basically, the High Court, when we look at it, this magnificent building, which can terrorize anybody who walks its way, can be dissected into a 2-page paper called the roster. You check the website and you will come across a document called roster. The High Court will never do anything beyond what is provided in this 2-page document. So essentially, we need to know what the High Court would do. While training the student, please don't train them on admiralty jurisdiction, because we are having only 2 cases in a year or 3 cases in a year. We should train them in preparing writ petitions, mandamus writ petitions, because if there are 40,000 cases, I am very sure that more than half is mandamus writ petitions. And in a mandamus writ petition, what is the thing that the High Court may do? High Court may look for one question, whether a legal authority has a duty. And once it finds that there is a duty, the High Court will say that, gentlemen, legal authority, please perform your duty. And I believe that this simple writ petition can pay the bills of a young lawyer who starts practice in the High Court without the assistance of their parents. So this is the scheme that we adopt. We don't want them to study things which are not going to be practiced in the immediate future. We will be training them on filing applications like bail applications in a bailable case. That will give them a fees or things like that. And slowly, once we are able to navigate the process, then the journey is easy. I am talking to you all these things based on a script that we have prepared. And I will come to that story of that script. We believe that once a student comes to the graduates from a law college, he is entering a golden hour. I think that doctors sitting in this room, many doctors, I can see many doctors sitting here knows what is the golden hour. Golden hour is a period when a traumatic injury happens to a patient. Somebody needs to provide them some basic assistance so that his life is saved. So a student passing out of a government law college without adequate training is entering a golden hour, because his age will be something like 23, 24, and other professionals coming out of other colleges get placement. They are asked to practice for the next 10 years for their survival, and probably the best talents will not sustain in the profession. So our future Chief Justice of India walks out of the fray without even trying to venture into this ocean of practice. So it is in this particular context, 2 people have entered into our office, and one is Naomi Rohan and the other is Abhinav. Naomi came first because Naomi is my friend's daughter. Her father Rohan is a doctor, wife is a doctor, grandparents are doctors, and her only sister is also a doctor. And in the family tradition is like, you can choose the organ which you can specialize, because your this thing is disdained. You will have to go to Pala, get an admission, and crack the NEET exam and be an MBBS. The father practices as an eye specialist, so you can choose eye. The elder sister chose eye, and now an option is there with skin, because her mother is a skin specialist. But she protested and said that no, I want to do something else. So this case came to me because Rohan's immediate friend in the legal profession is me. this girl has a problem. She is not following our family tradition and she wants to join law. I said that definitely she should be joining law and she should be. And this happened some 3 years back. And Rohan managed to get a admission in the VIT Chennai. And after 3 years, they came to my chamber asking me to requesting for an internship. I asked her, we will have a different type of internship. Here we will not be perusing the files. We will be working on a research to find out how the High Court of Kerala functions. Are you ready for that? I have asked this question for the last 5 years to any number of interns, and most of them have declined. But she, on the first instance, said, "Uncle, we are going to do this." And she said that I want somebody else to work with me. I said, okay. Then Abhinav appears. And that journey is narrated in our book, Unwritten Conundrums, Cracking an Implicit Code. Now, when we went to invite Justice Nambiar sir, he asked us, what is this conundrum? And I did not have an immediate answer because I was not prepared to answer that question. What is the conundrum? And later, I tried to reread my book, and I found there are two conundrums in this particular book. One conundrum is that of conundrum means a puzzle. One conundrum is that of my young author's conundrum. They used to see movies. They have Mammootty, Mohanlal, and people like that acting as advocates. That is their only experience. And they find this magnificent building called High Court of Kerala. And the High Court of Kerala every time appears in the news saying that High Court said this, you should not smoke, you should not do this, that and all. Your life is being designed by this institution called the High Court of Kerala. And they wanted to crack this puzzle, and that is their journey, and you will find that journey in the first part of the book. I had a problem. I had a problem means I was practicing law for the last 33 years. And I was very passionate about practice, but I knew that my training was somewhere bad, or my training did not happen at the right time, at the right place. And how to fix this? I struggled for something like 15 years in the lower court, then the high court. If my senior did not give me that 1,500 rupees on the first year of my practice, I would have now been working somewhere in the Middle East, and I would not have been talking to you like this. So I was thinking seriously as to what is the problem with the legal practice. A IAS officer can rule the state within a period of 6 months training. I do not know, it is one year's training. A law graduate can decide cases by a 1 year training, but a lawyer needs to struggle for the next 15 years. Only reason is one, and the one and only reason is that you are neither being trained nor you are given opportunities. And once a junior lawyer goes to the high court, the senior says that you go to the 8th floor. The lawyer goes to the 8th floor, then the senior appears, make the submission, and he will say that you go to the 2nd floor, and he runs to the 2nd floor, and this journey continues. He could be practicing marathon rather than practicing a legal practice. So our design for the Government Law College, our design for the Legal Aid Clinic of Government Law College would be to not to just give legal opinions, but to create a law firm atmosphere in your legal aid clinic. Is it possible to create a law firm atmosphere in your legal aid clinic? That is the question. Our plan is to see that the central government has allocated some 3,000 crores of rupees for fishermen, development of fishermen in this country. This 3,000 crores is a huge figure, and we have a rule of law. and the central government cannot give away money to anybody they pleases. They will have a scheme, they will have a protocol to be followed, and those protocols may require creating legal institutions like companies, partnership firms, and things like that. Immediately, then they will have to go for regulatory compliances like GST, things like that, ESI, and other things. And I believe that none of the beneficiaries would ever receive these benefits from the central government because they will not be able to comply with all these things. But the legal aid clinic of the Government Law College will be able to support them because the future lawyers are sitting here, train them to create small legal institutions like companies or anything. They can create, and അവർക്ക് അത് എടുത്താൽ പൊങ്ങുന്നില്ലെന്ന് തോന്നിയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇതിനേക്കാൾ വലിയ ആൾക്കാർ ഹൈക്കോടതിയിൽ പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, അവർ വന്ന് സഹായിക്കണം. അപ്പോൾ then it is possible to create such institutions. And if you can run a enterprise of 10 lakhs investment ഉള്ള ഒരു institution run ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയുമെങ്കിൽ you can definitely run the advise Reliance or Adani, because the law applicable to the company is one and the same, whether it is 10 lakhs or whether it is 10,000 crores. So this is the basic principle that we would like to put forward. Through this process, you will gain your clients while you are studying in the college. That is the attempt. The beneficiary will be your client, and he will always remember you, and whenever he has a problem he will come back to you. And in this process training happens as well as opportunities happens. Who is the best lawyer in the High Court of Kerala? Many may say many names, but I would say that the person having more number of cases is the most happy lawyer in the High Court, because half the job will be done by the lawyer and the rest will be done by the judges. So they get a very good support from the judges, and obviously therefore this is our basic scheme. And for the students who are going to participate in this program, I have two suggestions. One, try to read the Unwritten Conundrum, and this is not a promotion exercise because that is an experience that you will have. And if you are very serious about this practice, you should download a document called Compendium on High Court Practice from the website of the High Court. You will get it. And visiting the High Court website is one of the wonderful things that you should be doing, because it has a lot of information. The Judicial Academy has published a document called Compendium on the High Court Practice. This is the conundrum is the basic script, and the detailed script is the compendium. And I thank all those who are present here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable thoughts and for your partnership in this initiative. We shall now move to a special segment of today's program, Introduction to the Course and Sharing of Experiences in the High Court. For this, I invite Ms. Naomi Rohan and Mr. Abhinav Anil, third year LLB students, School of Law, VIT Chennai, to share their experiences and insights.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Justice Jayashekaran Nambiar sir, respected faculty members of Government Law College, Ernakulam, my seniors and dear friends, good morning to one and all. It is an immense privilege to stand here today, looking out at this gathering, especially knowing the caliber of legal minds in this room, makes the third year law student in me feel like I've just landed my first major court hall run. Before I share my journey, I must express my deepest gratitude. Firstly, to the Legal Aid Clinic, GLC Ernakulam and the PCL Foundation for hosting this important clinical course and giving a voice to a student's perspective. My most profound thanks must go to the person who truly made this journey possible, Advocate Johnson Gomez sir. Sir, you didn't just offer us an internship, you gave us a quest. You saw two wide-eyed law students, and instead of burying us under mountainous stacks of old case files, which is the conventional intern fate, you gave us a map to the most exciting place in Kochi, the Kerala High Court. Thank you for deviating from the norm. and encouraging our curiosity. Now to Project Lawyer Foundation, thank you for believing in our work and bringing it to life. To my incredible support system, my parents, my sister and my family, all of them who are present here today, thank you for being my constant and unwavering support. This book in many points felt like trying to swim against a strong current, a distant, near impossible task to complete. But they stood with me till this very moment. And finally, to my partner in crime, my confidant, and now my co author, Abhinav. We stuck by every late night, every frantic edit, every obstacle. Thank you for your calmness, your focus, and for making me realize that if you want to write a book, you need a partner who can balance your tendency to panic with their ability to simply get things done. And of course, a big thank you to the Almighty for all the blessings that guided us. Now, coming to my journey and my experience of writing our book, The Unwritten Conundrum, goes back to June of this year when Abhinav and I arrived in Kochi with a basic textbook understanding of the law. This was my actual full-fledged first internship that I did in the Kerala High Court. So I had pretty much a very hazy idea about how the internship would go like. So we were ready for the conventional internship that will include like reading, highlighting, and perhaps fetching a few photocopies. But the very first day, Advocate Johnson Gomez sir introduced us to this opportunity to unravel a much bigger mystery. What actually happens behind the magnificent towering walls of the Kerala High Court? It was like entering a vibrant ecosystem. The journey began not with a judgment, but with a client meeting. That's where we truly learned that a legal problem isn't just a set of facts in a book. It's someone's life, someone's panic, someone's story. We watched the story begin and then we tracked its journey. How that story, full of emotion and human complexity, is meticulously distilled into a formal filing. It was the first lesson in the legal translation. Then came the court halls. We started to map the geography of the High Court. From Court Hall 1A to 8B, we were constantly on the move. We realized the High Court operates on the true 80 to 20 principle, which was something that we got to know with one of the interactions that we had by one of the mediators of the High Court of Kerala, which is basically 80% of how High Court functions was intense, focused work, which includes running to catch a listing, to observing the lightning fast exchanges between the bench and the bar, and absorbing the sheer speed at which justice moves. But the 20%, that was the fun. Our research breaks were strategic halls at the Indian Coffee House, where a quick coffee provided the necessary fuel for the next court hall sprint. We learned to navigate Kochi, not just its legal landscape, but its literal one, taking the water metro. Those moments were vital because it reminded us that law, for all its seriousness, is practiced by people who need a break, a view, and a good cup of coffee. The magnanimity of the High Court, as we see it, is not just in its power, but in its daily relentless effort. We didn't just see lawyers arguing, we saw a performance of strategy and articulation. We didn't just see a judge pronounce an order, we saw the weight of decades of experience and discretion guiding a complex decision. We saw how the High Court isn't a single uniform entity, but a collection of benches, specialized areas, and people each playing a crucial role. Our book is really a student's honest attempt to document that unveiling. It is a guide for those who, like us, are standing outside the gates, wondering what's inside. It's written with the awe of someone who is watching the theory of the law come alive for the very first time. In closing, I hope that our experience serves as a small encouragement and to extend my gratitude to my juniors, to all of the future readers that might be reading our book. The legal profession is indeed an adventure. Don't wait for the perfect textbook summary. Seek out the real action, the real stories, and the real people. To the esteemed seniors and faculty, thank you for listening to the story of two young students who were simply trying to connect the dots in a huge, fascinating legal universe. Thank you.
The life of the law has not been logic, it has been experience. It is a quote by a famous judge in US Court of Justice, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. This quote reminds us that law is learned not only from books but also from experience. As law students, we understand this by watching how courts work and how justice is delivered in real life. Honorable Justice Jaishankar Napier sir, respected dignitaries on the dais, learned members of the bar and bench, teachers, seniors, friends, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At the outset, I would like to take a bailout. Considering the knowledge that the gathering over here have, I feel like I'm the small guy in the room, and I'm not an expert in the working of High Court or anything, and I'm standing here as a student of law, still learning and still observing. If anything I say today sounds right, then it is because of the guidance that I received. And if not, it can be safely blamed upon a student's enthusiasm. Before I begin, I would like to thank GLC Ernakulam Law College, the Legal Aid Clinic, and PCL Foundation for giving us such a wonderful opportunity to present students' perspective regarding the system. It is my privilege to welcome you all to the inaugural ceremony of our book, The Unwritten Conundrum, Cracking an Implicit Code, written by Advocate Johnson sir and Ms. Naomi and myself, Abhinav Anil. The Unwritten Conundrum is not a commentary or an expert guide, I must say. It begins with a simple question that arose in our mind. How does the High Court of Kerala works? What is the principle behind it? While classroom teaches the written law, courtroom teaches many unwritten lessons, discipline, practice, and institutional culture. This book is a sincere attempt to understand those aspects from a student's perspective. I still remember the first day of our internship, sir, where Johnson sir told that you should not learn law, you should instead find it. I was so happy because I thought I'll get a certificate without doing much work. And ladies and gentlemen, a student who went for a certificate is now author of a book and is addressing a great gathering, which is a proud moment in his life. And this is the mentorship that I got from Johnson sir, a person who knows what should be done and when. Through this experience, we go to know that knowledge is different from wisdom. Learning and by hearting the sections and provisions is just knowledge, and what to apply and where to apply is the wisdom that can only be gained through the guidance and experience. To be honest, I never by hearted any sections or provisions throughout the internship. Instead, I got the idea on how and where these law works and apply, which is incorporated through our book as well. Each day of our internship quenched our thirst to understand more, and it was the most interesting internship that we got. And all the experiences so far is enumerated in our book, and I hope you all will enjoy reading it. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Johnson sir for his mentorship, guidance, and support throughout my journey, and my co-author Ms. Naomi Rohan, whose strong command in English and attention to detail greatly raised the standard bar of our book. I'm so grateful to my parents and for their sacrifice and support, my relatives and my brother Abhishek Anil for his constant encouragement and support. Last but not least, I would like to thank Almighty for the blessings and support throughout the journey. Before I conclude, I once again would like to thank all the dignitaries present here and each and everyone, which is an encouragement for students like us to put forth our perspectives with humility and confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, this book does not claim to have all the answers, but it will help you find what you need from it. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you for your valuable sharing. We are profoundly grateful to have with us Honorable Mr. Justice Dr. A.K. Jaishankar Nambiar sir, Judge, High Court of Kerala. Sir, it's our privilege to invite you to deliver the inaugural.
Good morning, all. President, Principal Vinny, my good friend Johnson, the young authors, future lawyers, future stars in the judiciary, hopefully Naomi and Abhinav, others present here. Warm good morning to all of you. You might have noticed that we broke away from the invitation and the program schedule, and that was because of a selfish reason of mine. Firstly, as Johnson came into my room and said that he wanted me to release this book called The Conundrum, and I asked him, what conundrum? And he was not able to give me an answer, so I knew it was a conundrum. And then he said, he initially invited me to release the book. So I said, don't I have to read this book before I release it? So he said, yes. I said, I'm sorry, I don't have the time. We are entering the last week of court before Christmas holidays, and therefore please spare me. And then he was gracious enough to say, okay, we'll spare you, but please come to the law college at 9:30 on Monday. So I said, okay, fine. I forgot to ask him why. And so this morning when my PS called and said, sir, you have a program in the law college at 9:30, it suddenly struck me, yes. And I came here, and then I saw this, to my horror, I found that I was going to be speaking as an inaugural address and giving the inaugural address before these gentlemen spoke about what it was that I was inaugurating. So I said, invert the structure, because I want to hear what the keynote speaker has to say, and then I want to hear the young authors also, before I put in my 2 pennies worth while inaugurating this formal thing. Congratulations, first of all, for you to take up this initiative in this college. Legal studies, legal education has not been the way it was back in the 90s when I was in this very institution. Mini was also there as my junior then. It was an entirely different landscape. I come from a science background. And yes, Naomi, you're lucky to be born in a family of doctors and have had the opportunity to switch to law. I was born in a family of lawyers and judges, and I desperately wanted to become a doctor. Look where that got me. My only consolation is when the COVID struck and I was sitting at home twiddling my thumb, doing nothing, I enrolled for a doctoral program. And that's how I got my long cherished ambition of having doctor before my name. I got a doctorate in law. So you're lucky to be pursuing your dreams. The whole point of law for me, or for any education, I always remember Abhinav was quoting Oliver Wendell Holmes, who said that the life of law is not logic but experience. I just want to add one more before I begin to even attempt an advice to all of you. Mark Twain famously said, I will never let my schooling come in the way of my education. I will never let my schooling come in the way of my education. And what he meant was that a school or a college or an institution like this is not the sum and substance of your education. It is only a fraction, or it's only a portion of what you can learn. Education is, according to me, a progressive elimination of ignorance. It is knowledge accumulation. You need to understand what it is that you're studying, what it is that you want to achieve in life, and work your way towards that. Schooling comes only as a minor portion of it. Why do I say all this? Oliver Wendell Holmes again, life of law is not logic but experience. What experience? It's an experience in the craft of law. And the craft of law begins when you decide that this is what to do with your life. This is what you want to do with your life. And you get into a law college, you get admission into a law college. How many of you sitting in the law college actually want to become lawyers? Thanks. I noticed all of you lifting your hands because you guys were talking and having a cozy discussion amongst yourselves when I walked into the room. You were not concerned with what was happening here. But it's good. And I'll tell you why. A law student does not merely focus inside the classroom and get knowledge of the law. A law student must do something more in society. You need to go and spread awareness about the law that you learn among those who are not as fortunate as you to come into a law college. Why do I say this? Look around you, look at the newspapers, Even today's newspapers, you're talking about a lot of legal cases when they decided. What is the feeling that public get when they read the newspaper? It is certainly not charitable. It's not encouraging at all. People think the worst about the judicial system. Why? It's nothing but ignorance. And this ignorance is largely fueled by the misinformation that is communicated through the media. As law students, you know what the reality is when it comes to legal propositions, what the rules of evidence allows you to let in as evidence, etc. But what is happening in our newspapers? What is happening in the media? Every time there is a criminal trial, every time there is a murder or a gruesome murder or something that catches the public eye, every time something happens, the next day what you find is the police, the investigating agencies have apprehended a criminal. They've arrested somebody in connection with the crime. Fine. They're supposed to do that. What happens then? This person who's arrested is taken for collecting evidence. He points to a particular place from where a knife is pulled out. He goes and points to something else, and from there something else is pulled out. He goes to a third house and he shows the place from where some clothes are dug out from the ground. And then he goes to his house and then he shows some place, and from there some stolen ornaments are pulled out. Fine. So what is the public? And all this is videographed, mind you. Today we have video cameras floating around everywhere. And worse, this is projected in that day's end of the day news. Now look at a ordinary person sitting in his house watching television in the evening. He comes back from work, he's watching television, and in the news, and now they call it flash news or whatever. There is a person who's accused of a crime. Mind you, he's still called an accused, mercifully. The accused has gone and shown the investigating authorities where the knife that he used for the murder is taken. He has then gone and pointed out to where the clothes that he wore at the time of the murder was hidden. He then takes them to the house where the gold ornaments which he stole from that woman who he murdered is stored. Where do the investigating authorities get all this from? This information. They get it out of a confession statement that is extracted from the person they've arrested. How do you think an arrested person gives his confession? Does he sit and is he given a hot cup of tea and then say, let's talk? And then does he say, I did all this? Why should we have a trial then? It is precisely for this reason that the Indian Evidence Act does not rely or does not believe the version of a policeman in India. The possibility that there could be third degree methods used to extract a confession. These very things make these confession statements inadmissible in evidence in a trial in court. And yet how many people understand this? Nobody understands it. They only watch the news, they know that this accused person has now given them even the knife. What? That he is innocent. How will the public have faith in our institution? It is the misinformation that leads to further misinformation with regard to the trust that the person is supposed to repose in the judiciary. This is the reality today. How is it? Now you may ask, why is the judge saying all this in a law college? You play a very important role in society as a law student. Please understand that. When you go home in the evening, you meet your family, you meet your friends, you meet them in social circles, you're going for a wedding. When people come to you and say, what are you doing? I'm a law student. And sometimes you say, and then they say, oh, why? Because most people think that law students basically while away their time here. And we do nothing to improve that image, by the way. I mean, now I think things are fairly better. When we were in law college, we were hardly in college. We were outside and doing all sorts of pranks. But I'm saying today, the legal community has a big role to play when it comes to discharging, and I would go to the extent of saying constitutional obligations. Why constitutional obligations? The Constitution, the highest law of our country, is not a legal document. It's a social document. Nowhere in the Constitution is it said that the fundamental right protection must happen by the judiciary. No. A fundamental right protection is by the state. And the state means the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, and every other functionary that is mentioned in the Constitution for protection of these rights and duties of citizens. So, when you are talking about your responsibility as a person aware of the laws, please remember this, that you have a societal obligation to inform other people with regard to the law. How is it important? We were talking about legal aid clinics. Legal aid, the concept of legal aid has come a far way from what it was earlier. Earlier, legal aid only meant helping somebody fight his or her litigation. So, give him monetary support. Later on, it said when that person goes to court, remove all the technical obstacles, procedural obstacles, locus standi, this, that, remove all that, so that he or she can approach the court and say what the grievance is. Today, you will be surprised to know, legal aid means legal awareness to the ordinary people. Why? Not to litigants, to the ordinary people. Why? In order to prevent litigation. So that they understand whether or not they have a legal right which alone is redressed in our courts. Why would you let somebody who has nothing but an ego issue to go with? There's no legal issue, there's only an ego problem. 70%, no less, 70% of our cases which come in court, if you look at it, if you microanalyze it, are based only on ego issues. If you can get rid of that in the pre-litigation mediation talks or adalats, the courts here will get ample time to focus on the real litigation matter, and then you get real justice because people can spend more time. The lawyers can spend more time. The judges can spend more time on what really matters. This hardly ever happens. And that's where the law student plays a very important role, because when you're a student, you're not doing anything for money, which a lawyer would do. Because once you become a lawyer, then your economic interests, livelihood issues, etc. come in. As a student, you have the luxury not to be influenced by those factors. And you play a very, very important role. The Supreme Court has also recently said that involve law students in legal aid clinics, because they don't expect lawyers to give correct legal advice, because there could be an element of loss of potential earnings as far as a lawyer is concerned, but the law student will not have that. So recognize your roles while you go for this course, which I think is a step in the right direction. What is so magical or what is so puzzling about the High Court? Johnson was mentioning that when you go into a High Court, you're expected to go into something that resembles a maze. We probably are the only community where a student entering the portals of an institution where he or she has to work for the rest of his life is faced with some kind of a vacuum or a blank when they enter their institution. Not only your family of doctors, when they've graduated from medical school and they went into the clinic, were you all surprised? I don't know. You won't be surprised when you see a patient come in. You would do what you know. Why is it that only a law student, when he gets into a court or she gets into a court, is suddenly told just to mark papers, do a clerk's work? That is what most people think. For the first 5 years, you do just clerk's work. Get adjournments. No, the person who's entrusting with you with any job knows your potential from day one. You have to project yourself in such a way that you are capable of handling all this. You will know how to project yourself if you start the training in law schools itself. So if you get familiar with how to deal with a client, because you have experiences of sharing your knowledge with clients or potential clients, they will come to you. മോൾ അന്ന് പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ ഇങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു എന്ന്, അത് ശരിയാണോ മോളെ, ഇപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് കേസ് കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ? Imagine that happening after you graduate. That's the faith that a client has in a lawyer, and that's the faith that you want to nurture. And where did it originate? It originated from the advice you gave while you were a law student. So please don't see this as something divorced from the High Court. High Court practice for that matter, practice directions in any court will keep changing as the society keeps changing, as the technology comes in to replace existing, forms and procedures. But that's only a part of your learning. You continue from your law school. What is more important is mentoring. You need persons like Johnson here. Find yourself somebody who will mentor you through the initial phase of your entry into the High Court or the any court after your graduation, because they will point you in the right direction, and that is very, very important. Because today, what you find among the junior bar is that many people come there. The senior tells them, go to this court, get an adjournment. I had a girl there on Friday. It's a very hilarious episode because her senior had obviously asked her to get an adjournment in my court. So she came in, it was some suspension of sentence for a convict who had already been convicted and was in prison. They wanted to seek a suspension of the sentence. Now this petition came up before me. A young girl walked up, said, this matter may kindly come after 10 days. Now that's normally what you would ask for in an adjournment, except after 10 days is Christmas for us. So, see, this is the extent to which they become mechanical. Her senior asked her to get an adjournment and probably get it after, the Christmas vacation. Probably hoping that this wretched judge will not be there after Christmas vacation, so let it come before somebody better. So, this girl in all her innocence comes and says, this case may come after 10 days. So I said, okay, shall I post it on 25th December? Yes. And I couldn't believe it. So I ventured a little further and I pretended to dictate to my stenographer. At the request of learned counsel for what is your name, ma'am? Gave some name. So I said, okay, at the request of so-and-so learned counsel, please post this matter before the registry on 25th December, Christmas Day. Yes. And then the prosecutor who was sitting next to her called her and said, Christmas in the case was Ayyo. So I said it twice. Why are you keeping on, you seem to be okay with it. I said, as your lordship pleases. There's no thinking happening there. So, with an effective mentor, you would get over these teething problems which will avoid the embarrassment that a young junior faces when he or she enters the court. And it need not be an embarrassment. Why? Just think about what it is that you're doing. Be present in the moment. And keep asking yourself, even as you do in your courses, when you're learning the law, keep asking the question, why? Even for procedures, keep asking the question why, because it is important that youngsters entering the profession ask that question as to why there is such an archaic procedure still going on. I can guarantee you that if this question why is asked by the new entrants in the legal profession, we'll be able to successfully weed out about not less than 60% of the existing procedure. Because files don't move the way they were moving since 1950. Today we have electronic filing, we have e-filing. Why should we have all these records in the record rooms? Why should we have this file moving through various persons with them marking in their respective registers? Why have these registers at all? But those ideas must come from persons who are, it always comes from a beginner. They will ask the obvious question. Who is the person who says that the emperor has got no clothes? Person without any mental baggage. Person who likes to see things independently. And that fresh perspective is what we are looking from juniors. So don't come to a court, don't walk into any court saying that I'm a fresher, I don't know anything. You do know anything and you know the most valuable things. What is that? That something here needs to change. And that is what we expect you to do. And your course and your observations in court, you were stumbling upon anything and during the course of your address here, you said, I'm only a third year law student. and I am aware that I am standing among legal giants, and I am really scared now to say anything. Please get that out of your head. Lawyers cannot afford to be scared of anybody, including a judge. If you're saying the right thing, if you've got another agenda, you need to be scared. But if you're pursuing your client's case, you don't need to be scared. And the last 3 years, I mean, I'm also heading the Kerala Judicial Academy. The last 3 years, my goal in the Kerala Judicial Academy has been to drive some courage into all the judicial officers. They are also not without their fair share of fear as to what to do. This is an important aspect. That's what I thought I would just, focus on that. And lastly, before I leave, the critical approach to everything. I told you about asking the question why. You need to do that. Just as you would ask for there is nothing that is settled in law. There is absolutely nothing that is given and taken for granted in law. Why? Law is always prescribed for regulating society. And the only thing constant in society is change. When society changes, the law must change. You cannot have, going by that yardstick or going by that reasoning, you cannot have something called a precedent that is to serve as a precedent for all time to come. No. 13 judges of the Supreme Court in Keshavananda Bharati may have sat and decided Keshavananda Bharati. That was in 1978. We are in 2025. What makes you think that a constitution is idle and has stood still? Your lectures in constitutional law, what does your teacher teach you in constitutional law? The first thing that they say is, interpretation of the constitution must always be dynamic, organic, etc., etc. Isn't it? Why? Because society is changing. You can't apply the same concepts which you applied in 1950 to 2025. 1950, when we adopted a constitution, we never had a concept of privacy. In fact, they deliberated and discussed it and said we will not have a doctrine of privacy in our constitution. Rejected it in 1950. 2017 Puttaswamy case, they say that privacy is essential. Why? Because society has changed. We value those concepts now. And therefore we need it. And our constitution must provide for it. So we interpret the constitution accordingly. Now you will ask, if the precedent value is there, and we have said earlier that the constitution does not embrace privacy, how can we do it now? Well, we did it. So we are changing, and there is no concept of precedent. Apply your mind, because you know, the newcomers know what the society of today is. There are very many concepts which are not there when I entered, the portals of the High Court. LGBTQIA++. How many of us are even familiar with it? Your generation knows it. You're living it. Life of law is not logic but experience. You are experiencing those things. And therefore carry your experiences into your learning, and as you progress through law school, use that experience to inform yourselves, use that experience to inform others around you who are not fortunate like you to learn the law. And then when you enter into the portals of the High Court, you will find that there's nothing new to be learned there. It's only a continuation of the progression that you're making. Thank you all for your patience, and good luck with this course. I take this opportunity to formally inaugurate this wonderful course that is conceived by Johnson and others. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion and for invaluable guidance and insights. To formally conclude the inaugural session, I invite Ms. Chani Anna Anian to deliver the word.
Good morning to all the respected dignitaries, participants and students present here. It is my distinct honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks for this insightful inaugural function of the certificate course on navigating the High Court, a clinical course on practice and procedure. I, Shani Anna Anian, on behalf of Government Law College Legal Aid Clinic and Project Complete Lawyer Foundation, wish to express our sincere gratitude to everyone who made this event a success. First and foremost, our deepest gratitude goes to the Honorable Justice Dr. Jayashankaran Nambiar Sir for gracing the occasion and delivering the enlightening inaugural address. Your presence and words of wisdom set a high standard for this course. We are thankful to Dr. Mini Paul, Principal, Government Law College, Ernakulam, for her presidential address and continuous support for initiatives like this. Our sincere thanks to Advocate Johnson Gomez, President, Project Complete Lawyer Foundation, for the insightful keynote address and also for collaborating with us on this important course. We extend our appreciation to Naomi Rohan and Abhinav Anil for the interesting segment on sharing the experience in High Court, offering valuable student perspective to the audience. I also want to acknowledge the immense contribution of Dr. Mini S. Ma'am, Dr. Joby Ma'am and Priya Ma'am, our legal aid faculty coordinators. Thank you for your tireless work and commitment to the initiative. Also, thank you Joby Ma'am for your warm welcome speech. I also want to extend my thanks to entire team members of Project Complete Lawyer Foundation for their meticulous planning, hard work and dedication in organizing the comprehensive course. Thank you Devika for hosting this event. Finally, I thank you all the participants and students for your enthusiastic presence. Your interest and active participation are what truly makes such education initiatives meaningful. We hope the knowledge and skill you acquire in this course will be invaluable in your legal careers. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, Shani. On behalf of the Legal Aid Clinic, Government Law College, Ernakulam, and Project Complete Lawyer Foundation, I extend our sincere gratitude to all dignitaries, faculty members, students, and participants for being a part of this meaningful academic initiative. We look forward to a meaningful and enriching course ahead. Thank you to all for your gracious presence. Thank you.